Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 29-year-old from Red Hill, England. His hockey journey has taken him to England, Scotland, New Zealand, and wherever Team GB took him. And he even mucked it up for 3 games with my Cardiff Devils. He is one of the original Shed guys from way back in episode 13. And today he returns. Again, he made his UK show debut way back in 2014-15 with a bunch of Shed guys in the Braehead or Glasgow clan. Spent 5 seasons with the clan and then headed to the Manchester Storm and helped them become the Chocolatey Manchester Storm. He is another gold medalist with the men's Team GB squad. And folks, he made Team GB in the under-20s 3 years in a row. Was named Young British Player of the Year 2 years in a row. And before that was an EIHL Cup champion and a 2-time playoff champion and a second-team All-Star between the Basingstoke Bisons and Slough Jets, earning his way to the EIHL where he spent the past decade. And gosh darn it, we're going to shower him with chocolate. Welcome back to the Shed, Zach Sullivan.
Thanks. I'm glad you mixed in there that I was on here before.
Right?
Everyone,
it was a
everyone
long
always,
time ago.
yeah, everyone always says Critch was first, and I'm kind of there like he wasn't.
He
I
wasn't.
was.
Yeah. You were
Well,
the
yeah,
original Manchester Storm guy in the Shed.
yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't thought about chocolate way back then, you know?
No, yeah. My partner forced me into an Instagram post because he wants some crunchies for the Pride weekend next weekend.
Well, I think we can make that happen, right?
Well, I hope so because I get a hell of a lot of grief, a hell of a lot less grief if he did get a crunchy thrown on with his name on. So,
and his name is Adam, right?
yes, it is. Yes.
So we would like a crunchy after a big win for Adam, right?
Yes, we would.
Why are you always looking
Very
out
much
for other
so.
people? What do you want?
I give all my chocolate to him anyway. I'm not allowed to eat chocolate. He takes it off me.
You're not allowed to eat chocolate? What if you earn it? What if you guys win? You earn your chocolate around there.
I have to put it in the drawer, and he comes and eats it.
Is that right? And he likes crunchies, but what do you don't have a favorite? You just want to win
Yorkies.
and give him
Just
his
classic Yorkies.
Yorkies?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I I've seen those. I don't know if I ever ate one. When I had a bit of chocolate hit the ice in Cardiff when I went over to Batchy's testimonial, I got all the UK chocolate for my girls under 9 team and brought it back for them. But I don't recall trying a Yorkie.
Actually, I'll shout out Matt Keith. Actually, Matt Keith has a weird obsession with bounties.
Bounties. That's the one with
Yeah.
coconut, right?
Yeah. So we
Ugh.
get Christmas boxes of chocolates called celebrations, and it's always bounties and Snickers that are left. But Matt
Nobody
Keith,
wants
whenever
that
we used to
shit.
go on road trips in Glasgow, the Brits would get the good chocolate bars. We'd be getting the boosts, the double deckers, the good ones. And he'd come back with a double bounty and get ridiculed every single time. So just, I know I saw he came on the podcast a
Oh
couple
yeah,
of months ago. Just thought I'd give him a shout out and tell him that bounties still suck.
they do suck. Yeah, coconuts and chocolate bars doesn't make sense. Um, but yeah, I get into how we know each other. You were on the Braehead clan and you guys had a squad back in the day. And I remember that season. I've talked about it a bunch. Braehead clan, Cardiff, Sheffield. Man, there were some squads and man, there was some mucking it up going on in those games, eh?
Yeah, there was. I mean, like we had Matt Keith. I think we had 3 or 4 guys straight from the Dell. Same with Cardiff. Same with Sheffield. And well, I think there was 2 or 3 points separating us at the end of the season. All
Oh,
three top
that
top of the
last couple
table.
months was heated. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't just obviously like it was almost like playoff hockey from February.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I mean it wasn't just like the pressure of we could win the league. It was also the pressure of like every single game mattered. It didn't matter who you were playing,
Oh yeah.
whether it was on a Wednesday night in Edinburgh, freezing cold in front of 60 fans, or at home in Bravehead.
Or you're in the pig pen in Hull. Remember
Yeah,
that place? That bench was the stupidest thing I've ever seen in hockey.
yeah, that was there was a lot of pressure that year.
It
Um,
was, yeah. That's
and
fun
to
though.
be honest,
Pressure's fun.
I don't think any I don't think either one of the three teams really crumbled. I think it came down to like one game lost. I think we lost in Edinburgh, and it was
Right.
probably one of our best games of the season. Outshot them 64 to something or other, and um, yeah, it came down to like the last three games. Whoever won out would have won the league, and I think all three of us lost the game in the last three games, and it just happened to fall Sheffield's way in the end. But
Well,
um,
what I recall was we won the Challenge Cup, beat Sheffield 2-1 in a nail biter, and then well, we got in one. You know, we won a championship. We got in one, and then we played them again a few days later and lost 11-1. And people blamed that loss on us not winning the league. Well, I personally thought we were probably gonna lose that game either way after you just won a championship, and they're all wound up about it. But it really came down to that last weekend. We played in Sheffield and lost. And they got the trophy that night in front of us. Because I still recall before I went out to the bus, I went out after I got changed and watched the players and their families taking pictures on the ice with the trophy just to piss myself off, you know? I got issues. Yeah.
yep,
But we lost to Sheffield in Sheffield. That's more hockey than losing in Edinburgh and Sheffield winning it elsewhere, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was like obviously like you said, I kind of played on winning teams in the what was the EPR. It's now the NIHL National. Um, we had great teams there. I mean, we had Adam Calder playing for us in Slough. Doug Shepherd who played for Sheffield. Um, and some really top end Brits. And I think we were top at Christmas and kind of snowballed and ended up winning the playoffs. We lost the first leg of the playoffs 7-2, 7-3, and won the second leg 7-2
Really?
to make it through to the semi-finals. Yeah, um, and then went to Basingstoke, and again, Greg Wood stepped down. I think you probably would have played against Greg Wood when he was at Coventry.
Doesn't ring a
Uh,
bell.
Not Greg Wood.
But
Oh, I
you
can't.
won the playoffs with Slough and Basingstoke, eh?
Yeah, so I won the playoffs in Slough. Then half the team stayed in Slough, half the team left for Basingstoke. There was a lot of politics going on, but I think I was 16, 17 at the time, so that went straight over my head.
Yeah.
So I went with my coach because he was the one that gave me the chance to play in the first place. And then we were on for all three my first year, on for the treble, fell short, in the semi-final of playoffs, semi-final of the cup, and came down to the last weekend. We lost the league. And then the year after, we were on for all three again. We lost the league to Guildford and won the cup in the playoffs.
Oh,
But
yeah.
again, like we had some, like you talk about like that mindset of pressure's great. It was, the more pressured the situation, the better we played as a team. And it
What
was,
I always say is big games are the funnest. It's like
yeah,
playing in Hull or Edinburgh really never got my juices flowing that much. But man, we're rolling into Sheffield or Glasgow and you're going to a packed barn and it's a big game, man. That can get your juices flowing. That's what hockey's all about.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're playing Sheffield for the 740th time this season
It seems
on
like it.
Saturday.
You
Yeah,
play them again. Every time I talk to one, you're about to play them.
we've I think we played them. I don't know, I'm probably wrong, but I think we played them about 9 times this season, and we played them once in the league, something like that. And
They're really doing it though, man. Like they
oh, they are, as much as I'm sure you were the same when you played. You don't like pumping up other teams, but
no.
they are just a machine. I think they've lost 2 games all season.
I know, man. Their
Um,
record is literally like my under 13 team's record.
yeah, and they've got four solid lines. They just roll, and then you kind of like the Cars team you play for, the Brayhead team I play for. You get into that spin cycle against them, and you're just like, oh god, like we need something.
Yeah, you got to really
I
dig
mean,
down deep to win those games. But um, like in
we fought hard
hockey,
Denver
anybody
last
can be
time.
beat any night, right? It's like my under 13 team, we were undefeated, won every game, and then we get into our big tournament, the Silver Stick, which I guess it's kind of like the Continental Cup, where you win your regional to go to the finals, and we lost a heartbreaker, kind of like you guys in Edinburgh. We outshot the team by a lot, took a lot of penalties, but outplayed them, outshot them, outchanced them, and we just couldn't win the game. And then all of a sudden, we're out of the tournament, and man, it was devastating around here. Brutal. So now all we have left is the All Ontario Championships. We only have one more kick at the can. Kind of like you talking about, when you're up for winning all 3 trophies in the UK, and then all of a sudden you let one slip. Next thing you know, man, you're running out of time to get something done,
Yeah, I think also like that because all of them kind of the league is like it's so different to North America where the league is the big one.
Yeah, I know. And it's
Whereas North
exhausting.
America, like playoffs is what you play for. You breeze through the season and then playoffs you turn up and play.
Yeah, you're trying to get to the peak when you hit playoffs. So you're
Yeah,
trying to peak as a team. Yeah.
but the with the Challenge Cup, I think Challenge Cup finals in March, and the league finishes beginning of April, and then you play playoffs, which is done by middle of April.
Yeah.
So you lose the Challenge Cup final in March. You don't have long to get that disappointment out of the way, get back focused on the league because you got 6 games left maybe, and that's the difference between winning or losing. And then you miss out on the league, and then you've got 2 games in playoffs. If you don't win them, you're done.
I I couldn't agree more about getting the frustration and the loss out of your system because we did lose that heartbreaker as an under 13 team, and then we never had a game scheduled for like 10 days. And
Yeah.
going to practice, you could just feel it, like the heartbreak, and you could feel it in the room before we went into our next game that they just weren't quite mentally fresh and there like they were before that loss. And then we went out and lost our next game 1-0, and we didn't play very well. And we had to get that out of our system. So yesterday we had a practice, and I said to their coach, I'm like, we got to bring the fun back. We got to get these kids enjoying this again because, like, that loss, like, it hurt me, but like those kids, man, like, they're still talking about it. The town's still talking about it. And it's like, man, we got to start enjoying this again. We got to start having fun, get back on track.
Yeah, and I feel like that like comes into even pro now. Back when I started playing for Finna, um, probably won't like me telling this story, but oh well. Um,
Oh, he
it
loves
was
the shit.
my second year in Glasgow, I think, and we were on a pretty serious skid. So we lost. Matt Keith had bruised his spleen. Cam Jansen had tried to kill him on the ice with a hit.
Yeah, I've
And
seen him
he
do that
hit
to
like
people.
a freight train. Yeah, he hit hard. Um, so we'd lost him, and then in the same game, it's quite funny. Well, it's quite funny looking back. It wasn't funny at the time. So we'd just lost our captain through injury, and then our 2 top point scoring forwards collided with each other behind the net, behind the opposition net, and concussed each other.
Oh dear.
So this was in the space of about 2 minutes in the same game where we've gone, okay, we're in control of it. Like we were 2-0 up. We're like, we're in control of this. Like we're pretty good. We're away from home. Like take the 2 points, go home. Lose our captain, lose our top 2 point scoring forwards, and we're all of a sudden going, oh no, like this is pretty worrying. So we lost our probably our 3 best forwards that season for I think about a month, and we lost every game. We went to Dundee, and Finner comes in before warm up, and he's ripping us like old school Finner, screaming, throwing stuff, like calling us out one by literally going around the room and calling us out. We go on 7-8 minutes late for warm up, come off of warm up, but half a warm up. Before the first period, like the starting lineup starts ripping into us again. We're 5-6 minutes late for the first period. comes to the end of the second. I think we're 2-1 down, something like that. And we're short. We've got 7 forwards, 4 D men.
Oh,
So we're short. Even back in
that's
those days, I know we used to play with 9 and 6, but
yeah.
that's even shorter then. And he comes in and he goes, if obviously mixing some swear words when you tell it again in your head. But
Yes, yeah.
if you if you guys don't win this game, we're on the ice at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. No pucks. And normally like
The
that kind of
threats,
call
eh,
out,
Finner? The threats.
but that kind of call out, you're kind of like, okay, like let's go, let's go. But that day, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the stretch. You could, as soon as he said it, everyone around the room just went, because we just knew we weren't winning. Like we knew we didn't have it in the we didn't have it.
Yeah.
I think we tied it 4-4 into overtime and ended up losing in overtime. And sure enough, we were on the ice at 10. I think it was actually 8 a.m. because that's when we had the ice on Mondays. No pucks.
Oh,
Um,
the no puck
that was
practices.
that
I
was
don't
a fun.
miss those at all. I've been
But
through a few of them.
we played. We had Belfast and Cardiff on the weekend, and both of them were trucking. They were, I think, Belfast were 12 unbeaten, Cardiff were 8 or 9 unbeaten, and we'd lost 9 in a row.
Yeah.
And I think we beat Cardiff in Cardiff 5-1, beat Belfast at home 4-0, and we were all of a sudden we were like, yes, okay, let's go.
This is after the bag skate day.
Yeah, this is the weekend following. But now I think it's like even with Finner over the last few years, like it's
The game's
I don't
changed a bit,
know.
hasn't it?
Yeah, and I don't know if you ever had this in Cardiff, but it was like, okay, like we've won a few or we've lost a few, like take Monday, Tuesday off, like don't come to the rink, get away from the rink, reset, come back.
Yeah.
Or even like I know most teams now around the league kind of do a like we'll do a Tuesday session which should be more focused on battle drills and then like a few battle games at the end, so something to play for between the guys. And I think it's kind of shifted more to that. I think guys have got across to their coaches that they don't want to skate lines.
Well, and I'm the same. It's like I know how much I hated skating, and I think happy hockey players play better. And I think that's what's neat about the chocolate is when it gets thrown on the ice. I think that makes it fun. But like when I need to skate my kids or get them conditioning wise, it's like I always try to hide the bag skate. There's always pucks, there's always shooting, but like they're skating, you just don't realize it, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm gonna do instead of the no puck practice? My deal I'm gonna give the boys, I think, is we play the team that won that tournament that we didn't. They're our big rival, and only one of us will get out of this area for the All Ontarios. We play them Sunday. I think I'm gonna tell the boys that they can shave my head in the room if they win. Right? But if they don't win, I'll get my hair cut like a grown up, right?
Yeah, I mean the
It's kind of like getting chocolate if you earn it, but it'll be shaving my head, you know?
well, talking about it, it's kind of related. There was Finner went and got his head shaved in Sheffield. I can't remember the reason why.
Just
Um,
recently?
no, this was when he was coaching Manchester, and I was still in Glasgow, so 7 years ago. But it made me remember when I was I think my second or third year in Glasgow, and it was a Scott Master testimonial game in Cardiff. Do you
Who?
remember Scott Matska?
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Scott
Yeah.
Matt. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and Finner obviously went down because he played with him in Cardiff, and he came back with his with the My Turn t-shirts,
Yeah.
and again we weren't playing particularly well, we weren't really winning that often, and he pulled us in at the board, and we were kind of ready for the like, oh, here we go, we're gonna get like Finner's old school.
Yeah.
He told you what he meant, and you definitely knew what he meant afterwards.
Yeah. You knew what
Um,
you knew what he expected from you. I
yeah,
always
he
enjoyed playing against Finnish teams because they mucked it up.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this is something else that kind of that new age of hockey players is struggling with is you're obviously brought in to do a job, whether that's put points up or fight or hit or whatever it is. But if that's not working, try and help the team in another way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
Do
remember,
something to help. Yeah.
yeah, like Matt Keith was brought in to score points. He was expected to be one of our highest point scorers every year. But if he wasn't playing well, he made sure that he blew someone up or grabbed someone, and sure as hell you weren't scoring when he was on the ice.
Yeah,
Um,
he was a
and that's
gamer.
not like I've just kind of noticed that, and it's all the way through the league, and it's guys, you play against teams, and oh, these are their best players. Oh, they didn't score tonight. Yeah, they didn't really do anything else either.
Right. You
You
need to
know,
bring something else. It's to
yeah,
me, the way I would think of that is well, I was brought back to Cardiff to be one of the scorers again my second year. And then I hurt my knee and my career was over. And I thought, geez, I still need to help some way. So what I did was I spray painted myself and got naked and did pregame speeches, try and get the boys fired up, They always loved seeing my tallywhacker before games. But you got to do something to help out, right? Is I would spray paint myself, do a pregame speech, or Deese would spray paint me, and then I would go do the pregame speech, and then I would go out and watch the power plays and give pointers between periods. And I was like the power play coach, and I still felt like I was participating, even though I wasn't playing, right?
yeah, absolutely. And like, I think also hockey isn't. I mean, um you would have felt this when you hurt your knee, and I think I'm starting to realize this more as I get towards the end of my career. It's hockey isn't everything.
Yeah.
There's
No,
life, there's family, there's friends, and I think every now and again you just got to sit back and go, how lucky am I that I'm involved in this?
right.
You're coaching now. I'm sure you still feel the same way, and it's like for
Honestly,
us,
the coaching, the like being part of a team, being part of the game. I had a hard time when I came back when I was done, when my knee's gone, and all of a sudden hockey's just taken away from me like completely. I'm not in the game at all.
yeah,
Being back on a team, being back trying to win trophies, being back trying to figure out how to beat another team. It's everything I need. And whether you win or lose the big games, at least you get to be in it, right? You get to get the
yeah,
juices flowing.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. But you know what the word is that you were talking about with like Matt Keith and Stephen Meyer was the same. Is when you're not scoring and you're supposed to be a scorer, it's the intangibles. That's the word.
yeah,
Intangibles. You bring the other stuff that still help the team win games.
yeah, absolutely. And like it's I've I mean I could go through guys I played with like Chris
Frank the
Frank,
Tank. Yeah.
yeah,
We used,
Frank the
we used to
Tank.
battle.
I can imagine. um,
That went way back to Western Michigan, man. We were teammates, and he came in as a freshman, and I was a senior, and I was like the scorer guy. And the coach, I don't know why, but one-on-one drills, he always put Frank the Tank against me, and he would tell him to give it to me. So then he'd be screaming at Frankie to give it to me, and he'd be screaming at me to be better. And then all of a sudden, me and Frankie would just muck it right up for like a long time, and they'd never blow the whistle. We'd play a one-on-one for like minutes. Just it was
yep,
nuts. Yeah, and
yeah,
then the same
we
thing happened when you guys were in Glasgow and I was in Cardiff. I tried to break his testicle one game, but
was
it's
that
good.
the same game that he accidentally slashed Andrew Lord in the face?
Well, the first time I ever played against him in the Big Blue Tent, and I hadn't seen him since college. I just skated by him to give him like a hey Frankie, what's up? And I gave him a whack on the back of the legs to be like, hey Frankie, I'm here. And he turned around and tried to cross check me in the face. And then he like gave me the like eyes, like, what this is I'm Chris Frank, but I'm not Chris Frank. And I was like, whoa, this guy's crazy. And then we just got right into it the rest of the game. And then after the game, we saw each other. He's like, hey man, so we still buddies? I'm like, yeah, man, you're nuts.
I remember a game very well from that season. We just signed Jeff Smith, 6'7".
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
was a
was
big
he
boy.
was tough. Then we had Lee Salters,
Gorgeous.
Keither and Mizey could fight. We had Fitzy as our actual fighter, Frankie
Yeah.
and Smithy.
Yeah, that's a big team.
So we've got 7D. I'm not really playing that much, which I don't really mind as a 19-year-old D man playing in the big blue tent against that big scary Cardiff team. So I'm kind of there like
I was
enjoying
big and
myself on the
scary,
bench.
you're right.
Yeah, just cheerleading the guys when they come off. I'm like, yeah, good job, guys.
Oh,
Um, and then Frankie gets thrown out. So Frankie's going back for a puck and he does like a shoulder shimmy shake and spears
Lord have
Andrew Lord in
mercy.
the face.
Yeah.
So he's thrown out. Someone goes to sit the penalty. As he comes out of the penalty box, so 5 minute major, comes out of the box. I can't remember his name. Tyson Marsh
Yeah, Marshy.
comes to our bench and goes, "Someone needs to fight me." That.
That's hockey.
So so Fitzy jumps the bench, fights, gets thrown out for jumping the bench. So we're now down to 5D. Then Smithy hurts himself. So we're now down to 4D. And I'm sat there on the bench going, "Oh no, I really don't want to play this game." I'm sat there and Finn is like, "Sully, you're going." I'm like,
All right.
"Me? Is there another Sully on the bench?"
Those games in the Big Blue Tent, man, back then, when you guys came to town, same with Sheffield, Belfast, man. I'd remember when they're playing the Welsh national anthem and you're standing there at the blue line, all staring each other down. And man, you knew it was on. And like there
Mhm.
were big boys. And I'd been playing in Germany where you weren't allowed to fight. There wasn't that much mucking it up. There was no tough guys. And then all of a sudden I got back into the real hockey, the real deal. And man, it was so much fun. But you're right. Some of those times you're standing there and you're looking at Fitzy and you're looking at Chris Frank with his eye a little crossed, and you're like, oh dear, this is on.
Yeah. I remember I think my first 3 years in Glasgow, every time we went to Cardiff, the Big Blue Tent,
Would there be
we
a
went
big
five
poop in
nil
the
down.
toilet when you got there? Because Dees would always leave poo in the toilet for the other
Uh,
team.
no, we used to go. We always went 5-0 down, got it back to 5-all, and we'd lose within a minute of overtime. We played there 6 times. Every single time, 5-0 down, 5-all. Within a minute of overtime, we'd lose 6-5.
Jeepers, that's weird.
Yeah, so six games in 3 years. And it was
Um,
just expected. We'd go down there and be like, right, we're gonna go 5-0 down, but don't worry, we're gonna get it back to overtime.
but you and Finner must have a good relationship, because I always say in hockey, it does matter who you know, and it matters someone having your back, and it matters people liking you and wanting you, and like you've been with him for a long time.
Yeah, well, you said I've been in the league a decade, and 7 of those are with Finner, and whether he was coach or GM or owner.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be completely honest. I despised him when I first played for him.
Well,
Obviously, I think I was the youngest player on the team by 6 or 7 years. We had a lot of experience, which was great for me being the young rookie coming in and going, oh my God, like Chris Frank, Zach Fitzgerald, like Scott Arson.
Scott Arson,
Um,
another shed guy. There's a lot of shed guys on that team. And you know what's
yeah, and
weird for me is, like you said about that, I despised all you guys, hated all you when I was playing against you. I couldn't imagine talking to guys on other teams. And then once it's over and you see hockey more clearly, and you're like, oh, so we're just on different teams. We're all hockey guys.
yeah, and it's like when I first went to Glasgow with Fido, it was I was out of shape. Some
I've
of it
been
was
there.
warranted.
I've
I
been
would
there.
say that.
I've been there. Is that why you're
Yeah,
staying
I
off the
wasn't.
chocolate? I don't like when you're saying you're not eating the chocolate that you earn. You need to eat some.
Well, yeah. So I don't know if you remember Neil Trim.
Yep. Big, tall,
So
right-handed shot.
yeah, great talent, unbelievable talent. But not the best skater
No.
in the world.
I
But
remember
when
he
you're
he went to Denmark the year I was there, and he didn't stay long, and then went back to the UK.
Yeah. So I think he was 31 when I was playing, when I went there as a 20-year-old. So he's 31, he's kind of whining, he's still a great player. When you're losing to him as in bag skates as a 20-year-old rookie, you know that the coach is going to come call you out, and we're stretching after the bag skate. So we're stretching around the center circle, and Finner skates home. It's like, Sully, you go into the gym every day for the rest of the season until you're in shape. And I kind of went, okay,
No.
like, what can you say? Like,
Well, and sometimes you don't know what it takes, and sometimes you don't realize, like, how much work it takes to be at the top of your game. And it's the same for me
Yeah.
when like I had done really well in college and I was doing well. And then when I got to pro and they determined I wasn't in good enough shape, and then I saw what everybody else was doing, and I was like, yeah, you're right. And then that summer I had things to change.
Yeah, absolutely. So to put into context, I think that first year I went, I was 95 kilos. Uh,
Mm,
5'9", 95 kilos.
I've been there.
I came, yeah, I came
After
back
my
the
knee surgery, I
season.
got to that. I laid around
Yeah,
and ate pizza and drank wine in Germany for like months without
you
walking
do when
around or
you're hurt.
doing anything.
There's nothing else to do when you're hurt.
No.
Um, but then so I got a proper ice hockey training program. Came back the next season at 75 kilos.
Whoa, that's a lot
So
of
I
weight
lost
lost.
44 pounds in a summer.
It, I lost 26 that year when I left college and went to the AHL, and then they said, well, you need to be in better shape. So then I did get in better shape.
Yeah.
I had like abdominal muscles. I'd never seen them before. It was weird. But I was only 165 pounds when I went to Columbus Blue Jackets training camp. And yeah, I was in shape, but I couldn't play hockey the same way. Somebody would come to hit
Exactly.
me in the corner and I couldn't reverse hit them. They could run me right through the wall and I couldn't do nothing about it no more. When I had some junk in my trunk, I used to be able to like hit them back.
That's exactly it. So I came back at 75 kilos and I felt great. I felt quicker. I felt, my brain was working quicker.
Yeah.
But I battling corner, no chance. Like Keitha would just one hand push me and I'd be flying out of the zone. So usually like for the last 7 or 8 years, I've been around 82 kilos, which I found is I'm still agile enough, but equally I can go and battle the big boys in the corner and not get
Yeah.
completely embarrassed every single time.
Yeah. No, I
But you
know.
do have to find that balance, like
Yeah. You
there are
you
very
have to
very
you have to feel sexy in your own skin. You have to feel comfortable on the ice, right? And I would know when I was a kilo or two over and I needed to lose it because you'd feel it in the games.
oh
You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's I think just because I've been playing in the league below for quite a while and I was comfortable there, I was never really I was never out of breath in shifts or out of place and kind of stepped up. And when I stepped up, it wasn't that much of a serious commitment. It was just kind of like, I want to see if I'm good enough. If I'm not, fine. That was kind of my outlook on it. If I can play, I'll play. If I can't, okay, that's fine. I'll step back down. And then kind of that season, I kind of realized that I can
I
stay
can
in
do
this league
this.
if I want to. And then kind of took it serious, maybe a little bit too serious, and came back too light. And then I was like, okay, I need to put weight on. And I actually got concussed that year. So I was out for 4 weeks. I
That's
had
brutal.
TMJ dysfunction, whiplash, and a concussion. Um, Finner will want me to add in that he confiscated my Xbox.
What,
I
confiscate your Xbox?
Yeah, so we won't name names, but one of my teammates snitched on me and said I was playing Xbox every day. I was not. I was not.
I thought that's what hockey players do now.
Yeah, but that's one of the worst things you can do if you're concussed.
Oh, right. Yeah.
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 So Finna called me in his office and said, "So I've heard you've been playing Xbox all day every day." And my version of events is I said, "I'm not. You can have my Xbox. I'll bring it in." And he went, "Okay." His version of events is he confiscated my Xbox.
Right.
He didn't. I gave it to him willingly.
Right.
Um, but then it looks bad because I came back that weekend. So this was like the Tuesday, and then I came back playing on the Saturday. Went into his office on the Tuesday and like, give him an Xbox
I need
back.
that back. When I was hurt with my knee, man, that was the only time I really dove into the video games. Like I needed something to do in Germany to kill the day when you're not mobile. And
Yeah.
jeepers, I would play the UFC game on Xbox and I was like ranked worldwide, I was mucking it up out there. But the game has changed from way back like 2000. Well, I guess maybe I'm different than most, but lunch beers used to be a thing after practice. Now it seems to be video games because, man, there's a lot of social media out there. There's a lot of people can take pictures, and you get 6 to 7 hockey guys having lunch and beers after a practice. It wouldn't take long for the coaches to find out nowadays. You
Yeah, I
know?
mean, even it was my second year in Glasgow with Finna. He called a team meeting. So I think we'd lost three. I think we lost 3 games, to 4 games to start the season, or 3 out of 4 to start the season. And he calls us in and sits us down, and we're ready to get ripped apart. And he goes, "Heard you guys aren't going out," and we're like,
He
"What?"
gets it.
And he's like,
He gets it.
"Why aren't you guys going out every Tuesday? I give you Wednesday off for a reason."
Yeah.
And we're like,
Go be a team.
"Hey," and he's like, "Mandatory team night out every Tuesday for the rest of the season." I was like,
That is
"Okay,
so hockey.
sure."
God, that's hockey. And you guys
But that
probably
was our,
turned it around after that.
yeah, we did. But that was our head coach coming in and saying pretty much in not as many words, "You're not drinking enough. Go and drink together as a team."
But
But
like, and people think I'm crazy, but like teams win when they're brothers, when they have each other's
yeah,
back. And I mean, there are some bad drunks in the hockey world that if you have a team event, if you're a bad drunk, know you are, and don't get like that, because that can also affect a team. But if you all go out and have fun together, and then you have shit to talk about in the locker room the next day, you have shit to talk about for weeks. Like, do you remember when that guy did that? And do you remember when he did that? Like, that's what brings teams together.
when Scott Arson ran up the indoor ski slope at entertain at the into Braehead. Yeah, I remember that one. Halloween party, and he was
Oh,
skiing without skis, shall we say? There was
I've skied without skis too. That's
yeah, there was a email sent around to all the companies, because it's 2 separate shopping centers, right? You got the like food court on the one, and then the shopping center. And Into sent an email to every single business saying, "We've seen people going up and employees going up and down the ski slope after hours. Please, like, stop them from doing this, or they'll be banned."
right. That that
We,
was
as a
that was you
team, we
guys.
just played it off. We were like, "No, no, no, it wasn't us." Like, we went to Bavaria, like the bar next to it, but none of us went on the ski slope. And then Finna goes, "Yeah, I've been sent the video, boys." So we're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that was us."
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But Finner knows what's up. I mean, he went through it, and I heard a story in the shed about like one night he was out and the George brothers in Cardiff switched his whole apartment around. They made the kitchen like the living room, the kitchen, the bedrooms, like they moved everything around while they were out for the night. And I just thought, man, that's like one of the most hockey stories I've ever heard.
It's well, like even now, right? They're the stories that, like, we never played together, but they're the stories that we want to talk about and like reminisce about, because they might not be the same stories, but you've got stories that bring back happy memories, and you're like, yeah, that was actually really, really funny. So
It's
I
weird when you're living the hockey life though, and all the fun stuff that's happening is like there is a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stress. The games are very important. And sometimes all this really funny stuff that happens, you don't realize what you're living through. You don't realize how funny the stuff is and the stories are, because there's so much going on and you're so focused on what you're doing. And it takes till you get out of the game and maybe years later when you get in your shed and start talking to people and it's like, man, that was some funny stuff we were doing.
stupid. I'll go for
One of
stupid.
my like when we were carved that 2014-15 season, we had like a secret Santa day or like a Cabina Fest where we had a hard practice and then had food and beers in the room, and then it was over. And Carl Hudson and Hendo and Dees decided to put on the goalie gear in the locker room and start firing pucks at each other in the locker room while drinking beers. And it's like, man, I don't think that stuff happens in hockey anymore.
We talking about Hendo. We had him in Glasgow for a little bit, and
I remember when him
I've
and
told
Lordo
I've told
fought.
Finna. I've told Finna now, so I'm pretty sure that I can tell this story. But so
I
we're out
love when
from
people start with, I'm pretty sure I can tell this
yeah,
story.
um, we're out for, I think it was either Halloween or Thanksgiving, but we were out. We're playing beer pong, and we were in Bavaria, and it's a German German bar, so you got like the high benches and the high tables, kind of Bavarian style.
Yep.
We were playing beer pong on one of the tables, and Hendo sat there, girlfriend next to him. Everyone's fine. Everyone's having a good time. We're playing beer pong. And all of a sudden, he just falls backwards. Like, falls backwards, falls off this high bench. And it's a like concrete floor. Bounces his head off this concrete floor. And then obviously he's not like he's concussed, right?
Yes, yeah.
There's no way he hasn't got concussion. So he's concussed. And he's not at practice on the Thursday. And like he's told our physio, it's like, hey, I'm not going to be able to play this weekend. So Finna comes up, skates over to me on the ice. He's like, hey, like, do you know what happened to Hendo? Like, why is he not here today? I was like,
Oh yeah.
I think he's ill. I don't know. He's like, did anything happen last night? I was like, no, definitely not.
No.
If it did, you didn't hear it from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he missed 2 games, 5 practices because he literally sat there absolutely fine. I'm talking to him, and then he stops mid sentence and just falls back. But yeah, so
Speaking of Hendo, then I also have a funny story with Hendo. Well, I have lots of them actually. His son inspired a tattoo that is on a person's body of me topless, spray painted with muffin mitts, and that was inspired by Hendo's son. But my other funny Hendo story, and why he's one of my brothers for life, is we had a costume dress up party for my son's 2nd or 3rd birthday, and Hendo had ordered a Spider-Man, like, you know, the whatever suit, like the skin tight suit. Well, it didn't come in time for the party, and he was so distraught that he didn't have the suit for my son's party, and he never got to use it. Well, he gets health bombed one game. The team's on the road and I'm hurt, and we were like, well, let's use these suits. We got dressed up. He was Spider-Man, I was Venom, and my son was Hulk, and we got the stroller with my daughter, and we walked around Cardiff Bay dressed as superheroes, and people were like taking pictures with us, and we were, or maybe weren't, drinking wine out of Starbucks cups while we were walking around. And then we had a few more throughout the night. Well, my thing back in those days, I wouldn't go on the road, but if the fellas won, my wife would video me doing a dance for the fellas. And, you know, I'd get into my superhero stuff and do a dance for the fellas and put it on the group chat for like, way to go, boys, you won. Hendo and I did that dressed as Spider-Man and Venom in my apartment. Everybody's in bed. We put the tunes on and do a dance for the fellas. And then L'Oreal starts raging. He's like, so you got to be serious with me. Tomorrow's a huge game. Did Hendo have anything to drink today when you guys were doing all that stuff? I was like, oh, no, not a sip. None. And you know what? Hendo was a pro. He got in the lineup the next day, went out there, ran amok. Attaboy. Got to have your brothers back.
that was, I remember seeing that. I think it was Vegas, their first season in the league, in the NHL. And we had Jay Rosal on our team that year, I think, and obviously he played. He skated with them all in the summer and all that kind of stuff. And their first time in Vegas, the Maple Leafs boys went out before the game. Out. Yeah. Oh yes, they went out.
Hockey.
And then got pumped by Vegas the next day because they were actually a pretty good team. And I remember the interview from the coach. He was like, yeah, well, you know, we got a lot of young players, and if they want to play in the NHL, they got to learn how to play guilty. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, screw
out.
These guys. They went out and got hammered before a big game. It was like, yeah, you know, if they're going to do that, they got to learn how to play hungover.
Well, the funny thing is before Vegas was an NHL team, they were an East Coast team. And boy, oh boy, did the teams put that road trip on the schedule, you know? Like, when an East Coast team, when you're playing all those games and then you get to go to Vegas, man, I'm pretty sure every East Coast hockey player was playing guilty in Vegas back in those days, you know? Anywho, wow, we've just been chatting. I haven't even looked at my notes. Did you know the Continental Cup is happening in Cardiff this weekend?
I did actually.
Finals.
I saw it.
I'm
I saw
trying,
it on
so
TikTok.
I'm starting another chocolate movement. I got my Chocolatey Manchester Storm. I have had fun with Cardiff in the past. We had Buenos for the boys for my under 11 fellas. And then we also had Twix thrown on the ice for Matt Caruth. That's how all the chocolate started way back then. Well, he's moved on to Herning. He is coming back with his new team, the Herning Blue Foxes, who throw Twix on the ice for him. They sell Twix out of his butt in the lobby. They have a cardboard cutout of him in Herning, Denmark, and they sell Twix out of his caboose. And I think that is so cool that we've started all that in my shed. And he's coming back. Mosey's back in Cardiff, and we had Kit Kat get that in Sheffield. I want those two teams to go out there and muck it up, and I want everybody to bring a Kit Kat and a Twix, and whoever earns it, throw that one and eat the other one. Wouldn't that be hockey?
That was pretty cool.
I don't know if Todd would get really mad at me if Caruth wins and they throw Twix on his ice. I understand how competitive he is, and he'd be right pissed off. But I mean, whoever earns it, earns it. And it's like, if your team wins, you're gonna get Kit Kats. Like, I'm just trying to have fun, right?
Extra incentive for the Cardiff boys.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And like, it'd be a memory for life that this actually happened in the Continental Cup finals from talking in my shed. That'd be sweet business, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be like what's gone on in Manchester. It's like I never even played for Manchester. You know, I didn't even know any of you guys. And now to see what's going on over there, like that's as hockey as it gets, isn't it?
I mean, I know we all we definitely appreciate the chocolates after a game. We
Right?
definitely.
And it takes everybody to win, and fans bringing chocolate does help, right? It motivates you.
It is an extra incentive to go out there and perform well.
Yeah. And well, you were saying your partner Adam likes crunchies, right? But one thing I would say to you is you said you were a bit pressured into posting it, but I was really proud of you for posting that. It's like be yourself, be who you are, you know?
Yeah, I mean we've been together since last November, so it's not like it's
It's not new.
not new, and also with it's gonna sound very bad. I kind of explained to him that it was also to protect him because there are some strange people on social media, and I didn't want him, getting direct messaged and all that kind of stuff. So, but the final straw was one of the other guys on the team. His girlfriend got her name on a chocolate bar, so that was the final straw. And he went, "No, put me on your Instagram. I want a chocolate bar." So
Right. And what wasn't that Tremblay?
yeah, Sound Tremblay. Tristan
Right.
got a little chocolate bar.
And
So
that was awesome. And I saw that. I see things from my shed, and she was the one that put on TikTok like I haven't been on TikTok really, but I got sent the video where she was like, I want chocolate too. I'm part of this. And it does take everybody to win, right? Happy hockey players play better, and your partners being happy makes happy hockey players, and that's how you win, right?
yes, happy partners definitely helps. You don't want to be going back from practice to an upset partner. I know that firsthand. So
Yeah. So we just want some gosh darn crunchies, right?
just one will be plenty.
Just one with Adam on it, right?
Yeah, just one.
Director of
Even a
Shed
mini one.
Marketing Jake will get this for us. He's
Yeah,
always got my back.
even a mini one would be absolutely fine, honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
There's been quite a bit of chocolate thrown on the ice, though. You know what I mean?
yeah, well, we make sure when we because we obviously every team does their thing around the center circle. So as we're skating around and the fans are throwing the chocolate, we throw it all in the center circle. So it's always in the picture.
Oh,
When we do the celebration, it's always there in the picture. You can always see it.
I
So we do
love
make
it.
sure. Yeah.
It's neat. I mean, way back when we first chatted, it's like I just knew I had a passion to talk to my friends that I missed my friends. You were the first person I didn't know that I talked to, and then chatting with you and realizing I could chat with a hockey guy that I didn't know. And then to see where it's gone, and it gives me more confidence as a person. And gosh darn it, it's been fun.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like hockey's such a small world anyway.
I didn't realize how
Mm.
small it was until,
I
man, my
mean,
research team gets hot, and now it's like every guy is linked
I
to
mean,
people.
Critch knows absolutely everyone. A guy gets signed in the elite league, and he goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, I played against him here," or "Yeah, I know him from this," and I'm like, "Dude, is there no one you don't know?" Like seriously, like I mean, he played with he was roomies with Nathan McGinnon. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
you know, like,
he's a dandy. He's a leader, right? Like he is like the
oh yeah,
type of captain you need on a team.
he's a natural born leader. You know, it's not just.
Manchester is lucky to have had him for as long as they have.
Yeah, I mean, he's happy. That's the thing, and
And he gets chocolate and he earns
he
it.
gets chocolate. I mean, where else did you get chocolate?
Yeah.
But no, he's happy. He likes it here, and you know, we get treated well despite what some other people might be saying on other podcasts. You know, we have everything we need.
I
And if there's
actually didn't
something,
listen to that. I heard about it, but
yeah,
I didn't listen.
I read the breakdown, but you know, it's from my personal experience and you know 99.999% of guys who have played here, it's you'll get everything you need, and if you don't have something and you ask, you'll get it as long as it's reasonable. You know, if
Yeah,
you're gonna ask
right.
for you're
Yeah.
gonna ask for a brand new Mercedes.
Well, it's all what you expect too, right? It's like when you go to Europe to play or the UK, like man, you can get put in situations where you're not given that much, but it's like, well, what do you make of this? You know, it's
I mean,
like,
there's countries in Europe where you don't get paid half your paycheck.
no, and they'll say, well, play better if you want the rest of your money, right? And it's
Yeah,
like
that doesn't happen here.
Carl Hudson when he got to Cardiff, the type, this is the my type of guy. He lived without hot water for like a month or two because he didn't want to complain. He didn't want to ask for anything. And it wasn't until his wife was coming that he was like, so my wife's coming. I haven't had hot water in my apartment for so then they got it fixed. They're like, why didn't you tell us? And he's like, well, I didn't want to complain. I'm good.
Yeah. No, it's like I played with Chris Holt, goalie.
I've heard the
Um,
name, don't know him.
he got drafted to the Rangers the year before Henrik Lundqvist did. Tough
Hmm,
break.
nice.
Um, so he played 2 NHL games, but he came to us when we played in the CHL from a KHL team, and he was in a lawsuit with the KHL team to get the rest of his paycheck.
Yeah.
That's the KHL,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what most people consider the second best hockey league in the world, and he's struggling to get paid.
Yeah.
And like that's never been a problem. I don't think anywhere in the UK. So you know,
Well, Manchester's probably getting pretty rattled with me because I still owe money. And I know I do, Finner. I'm trying to figure it out here. You know, I'm gonna have more raffles. And I heard I'm allowed to have a pop-up stand at one of your games. So now I just have to coordinate that. And wouldn't that be neat that while you guys are mucking it up out there and trying to earn chocolate, that there were like shirts and hats and sweaters for sale for Shed fans? And man, just seeing people wear the stuff, like it melts my heart. And then to think I can pay your team back by selling my stuff, that's hockey. People helping people.
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, like I was saying, like everyone knows everyone. Like even if you know, we went out with one of the teams. I think when I was playing in Glasgow, our ferry back got cancelled because of bad weather. Um, and it wasn't a case of, oh no, what do we do? It was the Belfast boys were like, want to come out and have a
Yeah.
couple of beers? Like,
Well, that's
no
hockey.
problem. Yeah,
I
and
remember
like,
when Belfast came to Cardiff and we were mucking it up at that O'Neill's place downtown. And we played them, we gave her tits, both teams, and then both teams were at O'Neill's. And we were all just mixing up having beers, and it was kind of like a rugby culture. Like you go out, you give her, and then you have a couple beers and talk about it. That's hockey.
better than rugby.
Yeah. Well, I
I've
don't know.
played
I don't
rugby.
know.
It's a
I've
better
just heard.
culture than rugby.
I don't know much
It's
about
a
it.
better
I just
culture
thought
than
they mucked it up
rugby.
and then they could have pints together. But I think that's the coolest
Yeah,
thing ever.
they do some weird stuff as well. The rugby
Mm.
players, they're very my experience from my school days, and I'll probably annoy some of my school colleagues. The rugby players were always the ones who were up themselves. They were always the arrogant ones.
Really? They think they were
Oh,
special.
always
People,
the arrogant. Oh yeah, we played rugby, and so
do you
yeah,
know
good for
what
you.
though? In Canada, that can be hockey players. there's hockey guys that think they're sweet business because they're good at hockey. Um, so that's they're
Yeah.
usually not the shed guys that go to the UK though. Those are the guys playing for the love.
Well, even like I was on one of your rival podcasts, so I won't mention their name.
No,
Uh,
actually do it. Free ads. 4,000
yeah,
accounting probably, right? Nicky Watt?
yeah, I was on 4,000 counting recently, and we were talking about Joe Morrow, and they just cast like what's he like, and I think a lot of people when we signed him were kind of like, oh, he's gonna hate it here, like he's gonna be so arrogant, he's not gonna try, he's not gonna care, but he's the complete opposite. Like he cares, like he's the first, like he's trying, like he's pushing the pace in practice, making sure we're holding ourselves to like a standard, and this guy has played everywhere. Like he has
Yeah.
nothing left to prove, but
No.
he's here. He's enjoying himself. He's working hard, and like I think he's like I think it was the minority when we signed him, but like quite a few people on Twitter and Instagram are kind of like, oh, he's way too big a name for here, but like he's fully bought in. He's fully bought
And
into
that's what you need.
us as a
I
team.
saw it though in Europe. Like I did see NHL guys come over. Fans thought they were going to be more than they were. The player thought he was going to be more than he was. And like especially in Germany, it's a different game. You bring over an NHL third, fourth liner. Well, you don't become a goal scorer because you go to Germany. It's like if you're a third, fourth liner, you're a third, fourth liner. And some of the guys were quite arrogant and thought they were above the league and like they'd be toe dragging at the blue line last man back and just not playing right. It's like you wouldn't be doing that in the NHL, so why are you doing that here? But it's awesome to hear when the good dudes come over and give her
Yeah,
the way it's supposed to be,
yeah.
you know. You guys do have a good squad though. You guys, how many? You got 3 lines or 4 lines? You only got 3 lines, don't you?
We got 3 and 2.
2 extras.
So 2 extras, yeah.
That can get
I
complicated
think we
coaching.
kind of. I think it was. I mean, one of our extras is Connolly, a 16-year-old British kid, and he's phenomenal.
He's gonna be a
He's
player,
just
eh?
16. His
I was
brain's.
thinking I'd let him get a little older before I try and get him in the shed. He might get nervous talking to an old
Yeah,
fat guy.
he definitely would be nervous. Um, so this was actually quite funny. I was talking to one of the boys the other day about it, and when I first started playing in Slough, Adam Calder was one of our imports, and he kind of immediately took me under his wing as his son, his hockey son.
Yeah.
He was my dad, I was his son, and even during games, like when it was heated, he'd still be calling me son and still expecting me to call him dad.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
He
Like we,
expected you to call him dad?
yeah, it was like sorry dad, or like things like that. Like he expected me to like chirp back with,
Yeah,
and
I got you.
it's
You're
kind of
hockey.
weird because
Yeah,
it's gone like full circle, and Connor's cut like I sit next to him in the room, so I talk to him every morning, and like he's like my hockey son,
right.
and it's so weird. I'm not making him call me dad or anything weird like that. Um, I
No,
just want to put that
it's
out there.
daddy.
Yeah, just put that out. Nothing weird like that. But no, like and the thing I love about our group this year is, like we practice 3-4 times a week, every week. We play 2 games every week. It would be easier for the guys to get straight off after practice. Whistle's done, stretch, get off. But the number of guys on our team that stay out there with Connor and work on things with him, and it reminds me of when I first stepped up, probably when you were still over here, where it was like, no, I'm invested in you getting better.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
it's not to be that guy who can be like, oh, I played with that kid when. It's
Yeah.
just because that's what you do.
Yeah. No,
You've
I
got
totally
wisdom
know
to
what you
pass
mean, man.
down.
Like I mean when I came back from hockey, you don't I wasn't I wasn't proud of the things I'd done. I resented the game. I hated where it put me in life. Unemployed, 2 kids, wife that can't work in Canada, and you're like, I am so fucked. And it makes you not like the game much and where it put you. And then once you get through it all and you get out the other side and then you get in your shed talking, the year I played in Heilbronn, Germany, who asked me to kindly leave after, I thought I had a pretty decent season. Five of my puppies that year, they were like under 20 years old. I took time to like try and get them to love hockey, enjoy what they're doing, feel comfortable, feel into it. That at least four of them will be getting their jerseys retired on teams in Germany. And to think like I didn't do that, they did that, but to feel like you helped a little bit
Yeah.
is a pretty neat feeling. And when you think four guys off one team are going to get their jersey retired, it's like, well, is that a coincidence or like, did I actually help? But then like coaching kids around here now, it's like there are some people that would just be in it for their kid, but it's like when you see kids with potential and you're like, man, I want to see you go places. I want to get you as good as you can be so you can go do this stuff. And then when you do it, I could come watch and feel a part of it, you know?
Yeah, and I think everyone wants to see him. I think everyone's got, himself included, everyone's got aspirations for him to go beyond the elite league.
He's that good, eh?
Oh yeah, I mean
He's
he's
16
16.
playing pro, right? And you know that what that
He's
reminds me
doing
of
it
is
all.
Tom Kuhnhackl. The reason my son wears number 14, he played for the pro team in Germany as a 17-year-old. He played for Landshut the year after I was there, and he was 17 years old playing professional hockey. And pretty neat that kid's doing it in Manchester, and they're giving him the chance.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't wearing a cage, you wouldn't think he was 16. Put it that way. He's a man. He's just 16.
Mm-hmm.
He's fast enough. He's strong enough. He's skilled enough. He's just 16.
Yeah,
And it's obviously his first year coming from, he's only played juniors over here, so it's not like he's been playing with kids as good as him in North America or Scandinavia, wherever it is. So, he's been his entire junior career is I'll get the puck, skate through everyone and score,
yeah, yeah.
which you can't do with pro hockey unless you're Connor McDavid.
Yeah, no, yeah, you do have to learn that though. And it's the same
Yeah,
for kids in Canada, man. You get in a league where you're better than everybody, then what I try to explain to people is like you get parents talking about passing, passing, passing. It's like, well, every hockey player when they get the puck is deciding what's the best option with this puck. And sometimes there's kids that it's like, well, if I pass it to him, he's going to lose it. We're going to give the puck away. Where I could just skate through and score. So am I not the best option right now? And it's like you have to get into better leagues and play against better competition to have to pass the puck because it's the better option and because that guy can handle the puck and take it.
yeah, absolutely. And like I think that's what he's kind of struggling with the most, stepping into a league where, and this is no offense to him, he's not the best player.
Right.
You know, he's,
Well, he
he's
better not be at 16.
exactly. If he is, he should be elsewhere.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I think he's kind of struggling with that a little bit. And then obviously like the decision making part of the game, the higher the level, the quicker it needs to be. And again,
It's true.
it's like I said earlier, his body is like he's ready to play pro hockey. It's just his brain needs to like catch up a
Yeah.
little bit.
Well, and it's true. When I left college and went to the A and like you do a power play practice or whatever, and the guys are on you way faster, the sticks are way longer, the body positioning, everybody's all in the right spots and they're pressing you at the wrong times, and you're like, oh man, this is way harder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've no doubt he'll succeed, and touch wood, nothing. He doesn't get any injuries or anything like that, and I think everyone involved with us this season is kind of excited where he ends up.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah,
then with there, he's not the only young puppy you got on that squad, eh? There was a shed guy goalie that got in the net here when he was hurt, and he's really kicking him out there. 3 straight wins, eh? As an 18-year-old goalie.
yeah. I need to listen to that episode because I want to know if the voice he puts on with us is the same as the one we spoke to him with.
Oh, we had a great chat.
Um,
I don't know what he talks to you guys like, but yeah, he's a great kid.
yeah, he is. He's again, it's his first pro year. He was in Blackburn last year, so he was skating with us. So for the last few years, we've carried 3 goalies in practice.
And you've been
So
grooming them.
the starter doesn't want to do this job. All right, fine, step out. We got a third goalie to go in.
Yeah.
Um, and he was our third guy last year, and he obviously impressed. That's why he got given his contract this year. And yeah, there's definitely he's good. You can't deny he's good. You know, to come into this league as an 18-year-old, and I think we were 2-1 down when he came in when Winnie got hurt. So you're not coming into a game where we're 6-0 up.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming into a game where it is very much on the line. I think it was 1-1 actually. You know, this game could go either way.
Yeah.
And you need to play well for us to have a chance to win. And no, I mean, he came in and he did I think he did himself proud. I mean, we beat Nottingham that night. We went to Nottingham the next day and won in overtime, and then beat Guildford at home on the 26th in a shootout. So he's got one of each, a regulation, a shootout, and a overtime. So
Yeah.
no,
What an
and
experience for an 18-year-old goalie, man. Like I've talked to Boundsy about it. It's like coming up as a young Brit to actually get time in a net in the EIHL is hard to do. And
yeah, and he took it with both hands. I mean, we had a game against we played Sheffield at home on the first. So we'd brought in another import goalie, as most teams do around this time of year. And he got hurt during the game against Sheffield.
who did the
So
import goalie?
Winnie's been hurt the last time we played an import goalie. We play our new import goalie, he gets hurt. And Alex went in again, and he does his job. Like you can't ask, like he stops the easy ones, and he gives you a chance to win the game, and that's all we really ask for him. And
That's all you can ask for with a goalie.
yeah, and I know that,
So the
you know,
new goalie got hurt right away.
yeah, he got hurt in the late in the third period against Sheffield, and Alex went in again. So,
And that
but
goalie's
no,
there the whole year. He wasn't just like injury covered. Like now you guys got three.
we've got 3 for the rest of the season. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
I'm not
You're
making any
not, yeah.
coaching decisions
I'm
for anyone here.
I'm not into your roster moves either. I'm just having fun.
But no, he's yeah, I mean he's done himself proud in the games that he's played, and I think kind of along the lines of what I said with Connor, he still has some things to learn about how the
What?
hockey works.
And for sure, especially at 16. When I
Um,
was 16, I was probably still wet in the bed.
yeah, so you know he's the one that makes us laugh at the moment is I live with Alex, so I live with Mikey Coral, Alex, and Mitch Martan.
You're
Uh,
in a house full of shed guys?
Mitch hasn't been on here yet.
Mitch, Mitchell Martin?
Mitchell Martin, yeah,
Sure
he hasn't been
has.
on yet.
Sure
Has he?
has. Oh God,
Oh,
yeah.
well.
Before I right at the
Um,
start of the season, then he went out and scored some big goals. Shed boost.
yeah, he's an incredible hockey player to be quite honest. Runs rings around me in practice, so there you go. Um, but no, like we've got a good house, and you know he'll be. Alex has got friends in Manchester, so he'll be going out to see his friends, and we'll be watching TV, and he'll come in and he'll go, "Hey guys, like I'm just gonna go out and see my friends in Manchester. I've got the car, and then I'll be back around like 6 p.m. So I'll be back before everyone goes to bed." And we're sat there like, we don't care, man. Like you
Yeah,
want to
go.
go out.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we're all pros here now. You're old enough. You can do whatever you want.
you're, you're an adult. You want to go out with your friends, go out with your friends. We don't need to. But it's not like it's just funny. It doesn't harm
Yeah.
us.
No,
It's just
it is. I get it though. It's like when we first went. I went to Western Michigan, and like you get you're always telling each other like I'm gonna go here now. I'm gonna go here now, and you're like, and then eventually you're just like, okay, like I don't need to tell anybody what I'm doing. I just gonna go do
yeah.
it. But it's neat that those two kids are getting a chance with your squad. And that,
Yeah.
like, I guess now you have the extra import goalie. I don't know how injured he is, but like that Alex got in games and got to do her at that age, man. Those are memories for life.
And also it's I think it was huge for him personally because I think until you played, obviously I'm not goalie, so I'm putting myself in a backup goalie shoes. Until you played, you watch it when he's, in my opinion, the best goalie in the league.
He's doing
So
her. Yeah.
you're backing up the best goalie in the league. And he might not have the best save percentage or the best goals against average, but he's the best goalie in the league. So you're backing him up, and you're kind of sat there going, I'm not as good as this guy. He's the best goalie in the league.
Yeah.
And that, like, if that was me in that situation, it would probably knock my confidence. So the fact that he's gone out there, we won 3 straight as a team with him in goal. That, I mean, I can't imagine the world of good of confidence that gave him, but it also gives Skinner the confidence in him.
Yes. Oh yeah.
You know,
Well,
Skinner can
as
now
soon as
go.
Wenny got
I've
hurt, I
got
guaranteed that Ginner and Finner were scrambling. Like, we need a goalie. We need a goalie. Like, he's 18. He hasn't played. Oh my God. And then he goes out there and wins you 3 straight games.
Yeah, and it's Skinner's almost got that. When he's tired or Logan gets tired, and or we're going through a stretch where, for whatever reason, we're not winning games with Winnie and Logan in net, and Ginner's now got that luxury of going, okay, like I can
There
give
is
Alex.
another option. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a third option, which is, I mean, for a lot of teams that don't have Ben Bounds or
Yeah.
Jackson Whipple, that's not an option. That's not a real viable option. You have 2 import goalies and they split games. So yeah, I think it's huge for Alex, and like we were all happy for him. Obviously, like he's the annoying little brother on our team, but you still want to see your annoying little brother succeed in life. So um, but
Oh,
yeah,
I think he's a
it's
beauty.
good. Yeah, it's great, and he's
Well, it's neat for me
um,
too, right? Being out of the game for so long, and then like I'm a Cardiff Devil, but like I've been having so much fun with Manchester, and like to get to know him, and then like I didn't give I never cared who won or lost a game anywhere in the world for like 5 years. I wouldn't pay attention. I wouldn't care. Um, Now like I care again. I care if Cardiff wins. I care if Manchester wins. I care about the people I talk to, and like to see that kid do that, it was like, man, that's wicked awesome.
yeah, it is, and I think we were all happy for him, and I like, as I think when you back up players, you do play differently as a team. You protect him, you put extra emphasis on making sure that those shots come from bad parts of the ice or good
Mhm.
angles for Alex to deal with.
Maybe a
And
little less cheating, you could say, more on the D
yeah, a little
side,
bit,
keeping them to the outside.
absolutely. And but like any game, you could play as defensive as you like. You're still going to have defensive breakdowns.
Well, yeah,
And whenever we had a defensive breakdown, and you're talking some serious grade A opportunities against some very good players, and he was still keeping them out. So, I mean, I had as a D man, I had quite a lot of fun playing in front of him. To be honest, it was nice to turn around and not see Winnie every time shouting at me. um, and then I think the Guildford game, we obviously got beat quite heavily. I think that was just kind of that fatigue of you know making sure in every defensive play that catches up with you. And
well, yeah, you
um,
had won 3 in a row, I think, right? And then
yeah, and like that was like we didn't lose 5-0 because Alex was in goal. We would have lost 5-0 with
anyone,
Jonathan Quick in goal in his
yeah,
prime.
yeah, yeah,
We were just absolutely shattered as a team, and Alex still made some unbelievable saves and like good saves. I think we were 1-0 down for the majority of the first period, and he's keeping us in it.
yeah.
He's making saves to keep us in it, and that gives you confidence as a team. To like, I know when when a backup goes in, you kind of go, oh no. But very quickly in that Nottingham game, we were like, no, he's comfortable. Like we're fine. We can carry on playing. You know.
Well, I played on teams where the goalie wasn't good enough. I played on teams where, I mean, they weren't good enough to keep you in games or to steal a game. And it was weird because it's almost like as soon as the other team would cross the red line, whether you're on the bench watching, like your butt would pucker up a bit. You're like, oh my gosh, they're gonna get a shot on net. Oh my gosh, like it's gonna go in. And like when you play like that, and when your team's mental state is like, we can't let them get a shot, like you can't play as free and easy. And once you realize that your goalies can do it, you can play different.
Yeah, and I think that was, obviously our preseason wasn't wasn't particularly fantastic.
There wasn't a lot of chocolate. We were saving that.
Um, but I think as
But
like
you know
when
what's funny is preseason doesn't matter
exactly we went
at
0 and
all.
4 and we're fine. I know our league position doesn't look great at the moment, but we know we've got a team that can win games. So
And you're right in it. Like, you
yeah, and but I think like you were saying, we had Winnie come in. He's a new goalie. I don't think anyone had really played with him. Maybe Stephen Johnson had played with him, and it was almost like those 4 games were kind of like, okay, like is he good enough? And I think that was where, nothing against Winnie, it would have been any goalie would have been the same thing. That new goalie is we kind of didn't have, we had a lack of confidence in, if we break down, is he going to stop it? Whereas now we're like, you should see him in practice. He's outrageous. Some of the sexy things. But now it's just kind of, it's not almost like, oh, we can break down, that we'll be fine, but it's, we can play.
yeah,
And if
you
we
got you
make
got
a
the
mistake,
confidence in him. Yeah.
if we make a mistake, he's there, and
Well,
like
like to bring back my experiences, because that's what I try to do here in the shed, is we went to Cardiff. The new ownership took over. Todd Kelman takes over. Ben Bounds is already signed from the previous owners. He already has his deal. He's been a starter, but not on one of the top teams. And they had him signed. We have Mike Will as the backup. We have 2 brick goalies. And the start of that season didn't start out like we're a contender. We didn't start out like we're near the top. And there were people questioning whether or not Ben Bounds is a starter in this league, whether or not he can be a championship goalie in this league. And there were a lot of questions, and there was a lot of background chatter. And then
people still ask those questions. It's insane.
and
There were
he
fans
kept
that
getting better and better and better. And then I watched him go to his hometown of Sheffield in the Challenge Cup final in front of a sold out barn and win us a hockey game 2-1 and stopped all the pucks he needed to stop. And he is a winner. He's a championship goalie that's won everywhere he goes. And you need someone to give you the chance to prove it.
absolutely. I mean, there was a lot of talk, 6, 7 years ago, back when GB was an option for me. Um, uh, that there weren't enough good young Brits coming through, and I'm under no illusions that when I was 16, 17, people, elite league owners, elite league clubs would have looked at me and said he's not good enough. But I was given the chance.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer of, until you throw someone in at the deep end and see if they sink or swim, you have no idea whether they are good enough or not. You got plenty of young Brits in this league now that 6, 7, 8 years ago, teams just wouldn't have taken a chance on them. You've got Jack Hopkins in Coventry, Archie Hazeldine in Coventry, Sam Talbot in Guildford. He's incredible hockey player. Sean Norris was given the chance last year in Belfast. He's a treble winner already
Yeah.
after one season. We've got Connor, Lee and Alex, and the only difference between them and the Brits from 6 and 7 years ago is these ones were given the chance.
Yeah. Well, you have to
These
give
ones
the
were given,
chance.
here's
Yeah.
a contract, prove yourself. And they have. They've done it. They do it game in, game out. And
When it's the same thing you're talking about in practice, when you're saying Martin's good in practice, it's like practicing with better
he's good in
people
game.
makes you better, right? Yeah.
I
Martin's
didn't
good.
say Mitch is just good in practice. He's pretty damn good
He's
in
a
game.
player. Yeah, he's a player. No, but like it makes you better though, right? Competing with good players every day.
Yeah.
It's what you need, and it's the same as like Josh Batch when he had only played junior in the U.S. And then he gets signed by Cardiff, and it's like, well, you probably weren't EIHL caliber when they first signed you as a 20-year-old coming out of junior, like a lower league in the US. But man, like to see his rise and like the last couple of years, I've seen a little bit of Cardiff Devil games and he's still getting better. Like he'll do anything for the team. And that's what I love about Brits. I love them about the hockey people they are. And I think that's how the whole shed exists was when I went to Cardiff, the Brits were the best teammates I had ever had. They didn't really, they weren't bitching about ice time. They'd go out and block any shot. They'd do it with any part of their body. And they just wanted to win. And they were teammates. And they also enjoyed having fun away from the rink. And it brought back my love of hockey, you know?
There was a running joke when I first went to Glasgow. So I the Brits when I was in Glasgow when I first went, Ben Davies, he's got his testimonial this year at
Yeah, he
Cardiff.
does. I've been trying to get him on, man. Punk won't
I'll
respond.
give him a message. He's in my fantasy football group, so
Yeah, let
I'll
him
use
know I
commissioner
want him in the
override and
shed.
get him.
I want to
Yeah,
promote his big match.
I'll tell him commissioners told him to come on. I'm commissioner, so
He's confirmed
no,
he
we
would
had
come on. I just haven't got a hold of him.
yeah. So we had Ben Davies, Matt Hayward, who had his
Beauty.
testimonial in Glasgow.
That's a
Tristan
good bunch of
Harper.
that's a good bunch of Brits there.
Yeah, and I'm missing one. Can't remember. But we had a running Lee Esders, that's it. And we had a running joke that all Brits were good for is PK.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he's with block shots.
Yeah.
You take
Yeah.
a one timer from 3 foot away from us and we go down a block shot.
We are gonna block that thing. But and you
But
see that with
then
the culture with Team GB, like
we
they're
would
dark. Yeah.
so we had the running joke, and then that year as a rookie, Finner was putting me out on a 5-on-3 kill.
And that's
So
cool.
we've got ex NHL D men, and he's like, Solly, 5-on-3 go. I'm like, oh okay, sure. But then you start playing against the other teams, and you like I didn't know anyone in the league really when I first stepped up, and you start working out who the Brits are, and then you start watching the game. We're always on the kill, first on the kill.
Well, that's the teammates you need though, is that's how you win, is the guys that will do anything. And I did find that with Brits, it is hard to break into the league because of all the imports. And the guys that do are like, I'll do anything, you know,
Yeah, and
just let
it's
me play.
I think that's our culture, and like we're not delusional. We know we're not gonna play in the NHL or win a Stanley Cup or anything like that. But for us, like it's a dream. We get to play hockey and golf for a living.
And you're in your NHL. It's like
Yeah,
what I try to explain to people is like people in North America only talk about the Stanley Cup. They only talk about the NHL. Like the AHL, nobody even talks about. It's a great league. Nobody gives a shit about the AHL in North America as a fan. But like there's a lot of leagues in the world where it's that country's NHL, right? Like it's their biggest thing. And like you guys should be proud when you make it because there's not that many Brits that get to, you know?
yeah, and I think that's when you go back and you were saying that. I mean, I'm sure we both had some bad teammates along with the good ones, and I think for the Brits, we always took offense when guys came over and chirped the standard of the league.
Yeah.
And it's not chirp the refs, chirp the rinks, whatever you want, but chirp the hockey.
Yeah.
And we take offense because this is ours.
Yeah.
We're like we might not seem it because we're laid back and we turn up to practice, have a cup of tea and a biscuit, but we care.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and
Well,
if
and
you come
like if
over and
someone's gonna come over and chirp the level of hockey, you better be really doing her out there if you think you could say something.
so it's
For
that,
me,
I
I
mean,
had the
I'm
opposite. I came over thinking I was gonna be hot shit, and then I got out there and I was like, holy moly, there's a lot of players out here.
yeah, and I think that's, you know, it's I remember getting chirped by a guy. Um, it's a forward for Manchester when I was playing in Glasgow. Can't remember who it was, but we were kind of battling in front of our net. I was making sure that trying to make sure that he didn't score, and I succeeded this time. Whistle went, and I kind of gave him one last shove, and he went, "Hey, come back to me when you played in the AHL." And I turned around, I'm like,
Okay.
"Hey, buddy, you're
Yeah.
here now.
Yeah.
Like, we're playing in the
Way
same
to
league."
go. You did it. You made the HL.
Yeah, but that's like, to go back to Joe Morrow, like he never brings up like, oh, he, like, if he comes off after a play and someone says nice play, he's like, oh, thanks man, like genuinely, oh, thanks man. It's never like, oh yeah, yeah, whatever, like I played in the NHL, like this is nothing. It's like
He
he's
sounds like a
there.
shed guy. You better tell that guy he needs to come to my shed. I think he has like too many followers. He doesn't see when I write to him, and I was like, "Hey, come to the shed." You know, I think he's too
Yeah,
famous.
he's probably too busy at the golf simulator, to be honest.
Oh,
Loves
that
his golf. Him and Critch have been playing a little bit of golf recently. Obviously, it's I think it's going to snow this week, so the weather isn't ideal. But they went to Martan, really nice golf club around Manchester, um, and Critch is pretty much a scratch golfer.
is that right?
He
That guy
hits
can do it all,
76,
eh?
and
Wonder why I
yeah, I think
sponsored him. Better pay
Joe
for that someday.
Joe hit 72 or 73, so they're
You're
both very
that
good,
good?
and
Jeekers.
they both really enjoy it. So um, that's kind of the flip side of hockey. If you play hockey, you play golf.
Yeah, and I don't play hockey anymore, and I don't have time to golf anymore. You know,
There you go.
that's how it works. When I played hockey, I had time to golf.
Yeah, you do.
Well, you know what? I have a real world meeting coming up that I need to go to soon. Do you have anything else? All I got is you said you're at the tail end of your career. I know you've been in the league for a decade, but dude, you're only 29.
Yeah, I know, but you know, real life comes quick and fast at you, doesn't it?
Have you ever thought of life after hockey?
I have.
It's a tricky world out there.
It is, and it's never really something that you want to think about. But you know, my mom and dad make sure that
Thinking
I'm
about it.
prepared. So
No, I
I've done,
understand.
I did I started my accountancy levels last year alongside hockey. So kind of,
Accountancy.
yeah, I'm good with numbers. I'm weird like that.
See, accounting, like I was in all the business stuff. Accounting was the one I really I'd get through it. I just really didn't enjoy it.
It's numbers. You're either good at it or you're not. My whole family's good at numbers. So
Yeah.
um,
Well,
my
genes are a
mum,
thing.
yeah, and my mum runs a child nursery back home. So she's always looking for accountants and bookkeepers and stuff. So
Well, you've
uh,
been in Manchester for half a decade now. Um, and you're saying back home. It is interesting, right? When you hockey players set up shops, different places, like there's hockey players scattered all over the world. Some people go home when it's all over, and some people stay wherever they're at, right?
some people go home, some people stay home.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, there was when I went to New Zealand, there was a guy playing in Queenstown, and he came over. He I was told he came over 12 years ago and never left.
Yeah. Probably fell in
Drafted to the
love.
NHL. Drafted to the NHL. Matt Schneider came over, went to New Zealand 12 years before I went, and just stayed.
Um,
But so many guys, you know. Well, I
Hendo's
mean,
Hendo's in Cardiff.
Finn is in Manchester. Mike Moran, he came over back in the old Manchester Storm days when they were playing in the MEN Arena, and he's
Yeah.
still here.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, and when hockey players go all these different places and then, they fall in love and then next thing you know, they're there forever. And, when you're a parent and you got kids coming up in hockey and you think of it from our side, when we're out there doing our hockey thing, you're not really thinking about what it's like, but it's like I was gone for 14, 15 years, like miss all the holidays, miss all the birthdays, miss everything because you're gone playing hockey. And like, that can't be that much fun for the parents that want to see their kids, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I know obviously spoke about Scott Arson on a few podcasts, but he's one probably up there with top three favorite D partners ever. And
He
um,
was a player, man. I
yeah,
respected him as a player playing against him when he was in Brayhead there. Like that's why I had him on was I
I mean,
yeah, he
he
did it.
was
He did
top
her
10
all.
points.
Yeah.
He was top 10 points that year as a D man. I think he scored 3 goals and had something like 73 assists.
Yeah. No, watching him play, like he wasn't that flashy. He just did everything right.
Yeah, and but he called an end to his career when Max, his eldest, was old enough to start going to school. He said it's time to
Be done.
call it a day and think about the kids. And he's back home in Canada. And
Yeah.
I
He's a
know
shed
Keith
guy.
was in a very similar boat with his eldest. And it's a shame when you know it's a shame when any guy that you get on with retires. And
What
but
I
it's
find a shame is all the good people that you want in hockey, the Keithers, the Scott Arsons, the Stephen Myers. It's like myself. People have asked like why I never tried to get into coaching or this or that. It's like, well, I wanted to put down roots for my kids. I wanted them to feel like they had a home. It was never an option for me. I never really tried to do it because I wanted my kids to have a home, which they have now. But then it does take you completely away from the game because if you want to be in the game and get paid for it, you got to move around.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's for me, it's always a shame when those guys kind of leave and decide to call it a day. But for me, it's nice to see them do it on their terms.
Yeah.
They're making the decision because life has come at them. You know, their child is old enough to start their life properly.
Yeah.
And
And then you got to give
like
them
I
what
say,
they
they're
need.
good. They're the good teammates, and they're the good human beings that put their family first and go. You know what? It's time to come home and start their lives off properly. And as Keitha and Maisie both came back for their um, Wall of Honor that the Glasgow Clan do.
They're in the
Um,
Wall of Honor, those two punks.
yeah, and they came back for Matt Hayward's testimonial, and it was, you know, 2 or 3 of the best nights with them because it's much
Yes.
like this. You reminisce about
Oh
the
yeah.
stupid and funny stuff that you used to do, and because it's so long ago, and it's kind of it's just yeah. I mean,
Oh, if anybody has any idea how much fun I'm having in my shed, you actually have no idea. I wish I had more time to do it. Like I wish I could do this every day. Because it makes my day better. I get to bring back the old guy that did leave the game 8 years ago now, and I get to be that guy again. I get to meet new people. I get to see old friends, and it's like this is everything I need. And I get to coach hockey. And yeah, I work all day, but I work with great people. And we do all that stuff, but I also get to be the hockey guy too, you know? And it's because of dandies like you that make the time for me. It's like we didn't even set this up until 30 minutes before we started, and I had nothing planned other than I wanted to have you on. And here we are. We've talked for shit nearly 2 hours, and I hardly wrote down any notes. Hockey guys are hockey guys. They're easy to talk to,
yeah,
right? And we're
Well,
gonna get a crunchy for Adam next home
crunchy
win,
for Adam,
right?
crunchy
Yeah.
for Adam, please,
Yes.
for the love of God,
Hockey
please,
players,
crunchy for Adam.
happy hockey players play better, and we need happy partners, right? And he wants a gosh darn crunchy, right?
He wants. So he said said it very coyly. I'll try and imitate. Like,
Are you
get
gonna get in
into
trouble
get
for
into the
this?
mood.
Are you gonna get in trouble for this?
I've got to get in trouble for this. So it's Pride Week coming up, and I think it would be really fitting if for Pride Week that someone could throw me a crunchy on the ice with my name on as your partner for Pride Week.
Right? That'd be hockey.
That's how it was approached. by Adam.
And I don't disagree with him. You know the other side of that though, right, Adam, is that you fellas have to earn them, right? You don't just get your
Got a
chocolate
lot.
bar without winning.
Yeah, I did get a lot of grief from a lot of the boys when they found out that's the first post. But hey,
I think it's so
private
neat
life
though
is
when I
my
see
private
something
life.
like that and you're like, he wants a crunchie. And I was like, that this has even started in Manchester, that this is even a thing that people are asking for chocolate bars.
Yeah,
I think it is just so much fun.
yeah, it was. It needed to be done. It did need to be done. But he knows that he knows I believe my private life's my private life. So
And that's true.
um,
That's true for everybody, right? And I'm proud of you for, like who I am and what I'm all about. I kind of kept to myself through my pro career because I thought it'd be too much for teams to handle what I'm like. But, you know, being yourself is the only way to be. And I did realize that, yeah, maybe the coaches and GMs didn't think what I was doing was always the best, but my teammates sure enjoyed their time. you know?
yeah, that's they're the only opinions that matter. As long as your
Right. And
teammates.
now they're all
Uh,
becoming coaches and bosses other places. And I know they got my back and now I'm back in the game, you know?
but no, it's. I'm usually a lot more active during coming up to Pride Week and Pride Month, and why not?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, and you should be proud that, you know, that you're not hiding it. Cause, well, you know what? I've never brought this up on here before. Okay. And I'm not going to talk about where it was, when it was, who it was. It doesn't matter. I had a teammate I played with that, um, well, he was gay, but something went down that it was clear that he had never came out of the closet, had never told anybody, and something went down, and I went over to his place and sat with him, chatted with him, and hashed it all out. And I'm like, man, it's all good. Like we're a team, and we're here. I'm here for you. Like let's win and let's do whatever it takes. I don't care what you do and what you're about. You're my teammate, and I'm with you. And I do know that that guy hasn't let anybody know, and it's difficult for me to know because I want him to be himself. I want him to let people know, and who gives a fuck, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's a struggle to watch your friends struggle.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but no, I mean like I mean we talked about this last time. I none of the boys have any problem, and you know I do enjoy the odd comment here or there to make them as awkward as possible, and you know they kind of hear me say it and they're like,
whoa, whoa.
like um
But I think that's funny.
yeah, you know, and it's kind of like that friendly banter, and they know like I always say that if anyone asks like talks to me, it's like, oh, like what can I say, what can't I say? I said, as long as you say it to me
Yeah,
so I can hear it, I will tell you straight up if you're allowed to say it or not.
yeah,
You know, when you start saying stuff behind my back and this, that, and the other, like that's when I'm going to start taking exception, no matter how you said it. And you know, like all the boys this year are good fun, and you know, Critch. I mean, I've played with Critch for 5 years now, so um, you know, every time we went out at the start of the season before the season started, and we we were actually at the same bar. We just had no idea we were at the same bar. He texted me, "Where are you?" I was like, "I'm at this bar." He's like, "So am I. Where are you?" But you know, ran across the room, gave me a big hug, and you know, he's more of a brother now than a teammate, and um,
that can
yeah, I
happen.
mean, and the way I always look at it is it doesn't matter who you sleep with. All that matters is your ability to play the game. If you're good enough, you're good enough.
Well, there's that, and there's also you want good people. You want to play with good people, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you sleep with, it matters what type of person you are, and
Yeah.
obviously how good of a hockey player you are, you know?
You know, if you're a good teammate, and you come out as gay, you'll still be a good teammate. If you're a bad teammate and you come out as gay, you'll still be a bad teammate. It doesn't change who you are. It's just
Exactly. Yeah.
you're able to live more comfortably with yourself. And
Be
for me,
happier.
that was, for me, like I said last time I came on, it was just to help the next person along, not feel so, not feel as stressed as I did.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm proud of you, and yeah, I'd love to be your teammate. I wish I still played, man. Like seeing the squad you guys got, Manchester, seeing the Devils, like it is hard getting out of the game when you see, like, especially when you see everybody posting all the fun they have doing hockey. I at least get to live it through talking to people in my shed, right?
Well, at least you're involved, and you got your U13s team.
Oh, I am in the game again. There's no doubt. It's like when you talk about your friends struggling, like I'm getting messages from lots of people about hockey. I had a dad that's seeing his son struggling in Europe right now playing hockey, and it's because of the import situation, the ice time situation, and the messed up stuff that goes on in Europe that is unfair and not right. And then it's taking the love away from hockey from the kid that is way too good to be going through what he's going through. And it'd be tough for a dad to see your son struggling in a different country elsewhere, and they're not loving the game they've always loved, and they're not, you know, enjoying it. It would be hard. And you got to have fun playing hockey. And it's all about getting treated right and getting treated fairly. And, these people move all over the world to play a sport that they love. They better love it when they get there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the only resentment I've ever, and I think that's probably why I dislike Finner at the beginning. For the record, I love Finner.
Yeah.
I know that I can go to him with anything, and he's got the respect and the time for me, and I've got the respect and time for him. And but I think that's why I kind of perhaps wasn't anything to do with him. I just wasn't enjoying hockey for, I was living 8 hours away from home, which for you guys isn't that much, but for us that's a hell of a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It's still
and
not that close.
yeah, and it's living that far away from my family and all my friends and stuff. Like, didn't know anyone going, so there was a little bit of anxiety going on, and then being told I was too fat and out of shape. And but no, I mean, it's now, like, I like I said earlier, like, there's only a few years left, and I'm going to enjoy them as much as I can.
Enjoy it and have fun. Is the same
Yeah,
as when
make
I
make
went to
it.
Cardiff, man, and I realized it was coming to an end, and I maybe wasn't going to make the leagues and places that I had intended to make. And I went to Cardiff, and I knew I only had a year, maybe two left, and I thought, well, I'm going to have as much fun as I can. Look out.
I think another, like, a lot of it, especially in North America, comes from, if you don't make the NHL, you fail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You can have
Especially the city fellas. You see the city fellas around here. If they don't make the NHL, they don't play anymore. They don't go elsewhere. They've failed, and that's that.
but I mean, you can have a hell of a good hockey career without making the NHL, and
Sure can.
I don't think people understand that enough. I mean, um, I know the US won the World Juniors, but that Sweden team was insane,
Oh, yeah. Well,
and a
and
lot of them will be playing Swedish Elite League for their careers.
yeah. Oh, yeah. There is money out there to be made too. You talk Switzerland. I mean, even the DEL, man, there's some guys making some cash.
If you can get
The
to Mannheim,
Mannheim's a spot. It's real.
we played against them when I played for Cardiff. So we didn't count the hockey bags that we put on the plane. Might get in trouble with Todd for this, but oh well.
Don't worry about
We
that.
didn't count the number of hockey bags that went on the plane. So when everyone had their kit bag, we got on the bus, went to the rink for practice the day before the game. We left the bag with both sets of goalie pads at the airport. About an hour drive to Mannheim. So we get to Mannheim. We've got 5 D-men, including me, and 9 forwards, and 2 goalies with no pads. So we asked Mannheim, he's like, hey, can we push practice back? And they're like, yeah, like, no problem. Like, why? So we left our pads at the we left the goalie pads at the airport, and they're like, "Oh yeah, fine." So we had pre-game skate day of the game, and it was an optional. And I took the opinion of, well, it's not my team. I'm not going to skate.
Yeah.
So we, the boys are out. The Cardiff boys are out on the ice. I'm probably the only one not skating. So I'm just walking around the rink, kind of exploring, having a look around. There's 3 separate pads. So they got the main arena, they got a second arena with
I've
about
been there.
4,000 seats.
Yeah, I've been there.
And then a third practice rink. So I go into the second arena and there's a full team practice going on. So I'm like, who's this? Like, is it their second team? So their trainer walks past. I'm like, who's that skating right now? He goes, oh, there are players that aren't playing tonight. I'm like, there's a full team out there.
Yeah.
Looked at their official signed roster. They'd signed, I think it was 10 D men, 16 forwards, and 5 goalies for the season.
That's enough. And they're making money. They're making money.
They had a full team practice.
Yeah.
For the guys that weren't playing against us that night. I was like looking at it like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
We've got half a team on the ice, and that's our whole team.
Well, we better be quick. I got a meeting starting in 8 minutes, but when I was with Hellbron, we were kind of like their affiliate team, and my puppies that I was talking about that are going to get their jerseys retired were on Mannheim contracts. So preseason, we went there for training camp and we skated there, and we go out, do our normal practice. And then I saw them come out and their coaches had iPads. They were videoing all this stuff, showing it back to the players on the ice. Like, look at this, look at that. And I'm like, whoa, this is like 2024 and I'm living in 2009. Yeah, weird. Well, thanks again for coming on. And I think it's really neat what the Shed family's done, and it's people like you making the time for me way back in episode 13 and now whatever episode this just was to 349, I think. But you're gonna need to send me poster pics. I need to get a poster whipped up, and it takes everybody to win. Lee Freeman, thank you for everything you do for me, and my website maker guy Sean Collins and Neil Parker. Yeah, lots of people to thank for everything that's happened, but you gotta send me some poster pics so I can get that one whipped up. And thanks again for coming on. And you better go out there and earn some crunchies. Hey.
Better. Yep.
Yeah. No pressure. Hey.
No
Big
pressure,
games
no
are the
pressure.
funnest, right? And that's just been another episode of 2 Ales at Hockey Tales with Sully and Wally.